Yes!
And that's what makes these areas, especially northern and western Wisconsin, just really pig ponds. You know, I mean, any lake, big or small, can really yield some quality fish.
There we go.
Got him!
Yeah, baby!
It's a big giant fish. It's a big giant fish.
I'm Dan Eigen, full-time guide and avid outdoorsman. These days, it's easy to get stuck inside in a virtual world. But the real world is outside. So I challenge you to put your instincts to work, making real memories with real people. Because we love it outdoors. When it comes to freshwater fishing in North America, one species of fish receives far and away more attention than any other, the largemouth bass. Still, thanks in part to the popularity of major bass tournament circuits and bass fishing publications, many anglers consider the largemouth bass a southern fish. But those of us who live north of the Mason-Dixon line know a little secret, that some of the best bass fishing in the country is right in our backyard. I'm in western Wisconsin with Rapala Director of Field Promotions, Mark Fisher. Fish and I are going to explore a few of the hundreds of small glacial lakes that stretch across the upper Midwest, and nearly all of them are home to hungry North Country largemouth.
You know, the interesting part about these small lakes too is that, you know, a lot of the folks that live on these lakes that have been here for generations are catching sunfish and walleyes and pike and whatever they can get on the line, because this is wonderful multi-species territory, and you know, maybe some of the spots are overlooked, but they just don't get pressured maybe just for what we're going for, because bass really aren't considered too much to be table fare.
Right.
So that's another wrinkle.
Exactly. They're caught and put back into the fishery.
Mm-hmm. I mean, look at the terrain that we're driving through, rolling hills and everything. So you know that what was left when the glaciers gouged out was some of these lakes are huge deposits of rock in the bottom. I mean, that's what makes these areas, especially northern and western Wisconsin, just really pig ponds. You know, I mean, any lake, big or small, can really yield some quality fish.
It's late summer, and Fish and I are targeting small, isolated, mid-depth rock humps that tend to attract bait fish and bass, but can be tough to find.
You know, the fun part about these small lakes, Dan, is that we don't really get an opportunity to have the charts and the graphs like we're used to with the bigger bodies of water. So without them being mapped, we basically mapped out this hump by dropping in a series of icons. You know, kind of the old school method.
Awesome.
So we're sitting on the outside of this hump, and this hump lays this way, obviously, and these were sweet spots from which we made the cast as we kept the boat in one specific depth of 14 to 15 feet, throwing up on the shallow hump. You got the Carolina rig going?
I do.
Nice. You know, this is really a good tandem. If you can get the guy on the front of the boat, typically when you got two people fishing, get one guy to throw a crankbait to kind of get them excited.
Yeah.
And then somebody come through with the slower presentation like a Carolina rig or a football jig. Really makes it work.
And now, am I working this really slow?
Absolutely.
Okay. Because I've never ever fished a Carolina rig like this before.
Yeah, the whole thing is here again, you know, you parallel the cast that I'm making with the crankbait and just creep it, reel it up, creep it, reel it up, and those bass will find a way to get it. There he is.
There.
Yep, there's one.
Nice.
He came back and got it. I'm telling you, there's got to be a load down here.
Look at that. Nice job.
These are beauties. Now go ahead, Dan, typically go ahead and throw right back in that same line that I was making. So if you parallel what I was doing, you should come right through those same active fish.
Nice job, Mark.
Nice little 2-pound fish.
Yeah.
Beautiful rockfish. What a way to start the morning. Danny, we're gonna have a good time today.
I love it. And you know, Mark, obviously you target bass a lot. And I'm sure there's other fish you like to fish as well. But you know, being a guide up in central Minnesota, everybody's walleye, walleye, walleye. And you know it like everyone else. Walleyes don't always cooperate. And that's where it is so nice to be able to shift gears and, you know, chase bass or chase pike or panfish.
Atta boy.
Unbelievable.
You got him? Oh, you do, Danny.
My first Carolina rig bass.
Ooh, he's a tail walker besides then.
Come here, baby. Come here. Yeah. Yeah, baby. Look at that. I love it.
Hands down, a Carolina rig is a phenomenal tool for fishing deep weed line edges. You know, a lot of walleye anglers know this very well. It's a glorified bass angler's Lindy rig. And sliding slip sinker with a glass bead using fluorocarbon leader to a wide gap offset worm hook. And here you pick your favorite kind of plastic that you like, whether it's a worm or a lizard or a variety of different types of baits. You experiment with changing your plastic trailers a lot. Simple tip here, scale it down, make it very small, a lot less action in the spring, and as summer comes in, you can start to getting things with more appendages, such as this little mole. This is a great bait for Carolina rigging because there's so much action going on in the mid to late summer periods of time that these fish can't resist it. And keep it crawling across the bottom. Rod tip up, and away you go.
You know, we're working this rock pile. It actually felt like a rock until my rod tip moved a little bit, and then I whacked it. But they might be a little fussy this morning, you know, the way that thing hit. Didn't pound it, but look at that beautiful largemouth bass. I love it.
Okay.
Mark Fisher and I are on a small water big bass hunt in western Wisconsin, one of the thousands of lakes that make the North Country a true angler's paradise.
You look around, here we are sitting in an extremely fertile, you know, kind of an agricultural area that has a multitude of lake stand. And the fascinating part about it is when these glaciers 12,000 years ago or so, give or take a few hundred years, whoa, LMB, giant right there. It feels good.
It is, it looks good.
What do you think? Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
That is a nice one.
He's hooked on the side. He wasn't sure.
Beautiful fish.
Look at him walk.
Nice.
You know what? The 5-year-old comes out and every time you get in the boat, when you get a chance to go and fish.
Look at that beautiful fish. Nice work.
But, beautiful. Well, you know, the other interesting element of fishing the northern region lakes is you pick up any map and, I mean, of your favorite lake, and you look at it and there's lakes surrounding that main lake.
Right.
And that's, when you start doing the math on that sort of a scenario, you realize that within striking distance, within an hour's drive from wherever you live, that's going to occur, whether it's northern Minnesota or western Wisconsin, northern Wisconsin. It's just a fascinating thing that is so unique to our world versus places in the south where you have a reservoir or feeder creeks that dump into it, and that's where the populace goes to fish. Look at the hump come up. Look at the rocks come up on this thing.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, I'm looking at waypoints that I laid in yesterday, kind of outline where I caught a bite. So now we'll just set ourselves up. We'll do just what we did earlier, and we'll just keep fishing around the spot. First fish, kick a buoy, we got a reference point, and we go do it again.
Sounds good.
And hopefully, again. You know, I'm using a little shorter leader than you are.
Yeah.
And the shorter leaders keep the baits on the bottom, so a little more so than the longer leaders, which will allow it to float up. But yeah, the leader controls that, the length of the leader. Spring of the year, a lot of guys use shorter leaders to keep the bait on the bottom because you're moving close or slower.
Yeah. Oh, there's one. Yes. Look at that.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Atta boy, Dan.
Come here. Come here. Jump in. Nice. Oh, yeah. Look at that pretty largemouth bass. Western Wisconsin, Carolina rigging. First time I've ever done this, and I like it a lot. Look at that. Pretty.
Well, Dan, with the last cast in, I tell you what, I think we've probably exhausted our efforts now. You know, it's kind of interesting how the fish were biting good yesterday. You know, later in the day, morning bite, you'd think you'd come back and whack them. We got a few, but what we really have is a lot of other lakes to go and fish. And they're in this area. A lot of these lakes are all connected by the rivers. They fish pretty much the same. They've got good populations of fish. They're on the rocks. They're on the weed edges. We can throw a variety of crankbaits and different depths, and your favorite thing you've become quite fond of today, Dan, is the Carolina rig. Well, now we're on to the next lake, and I think the interesting part about this one, we might be able to fish it, or at least get some bites in a couple different ways too. We might try to do a football jig with a little twin-tail trailer. Might even throw in a, you know, traditional skirted jig and a craw.
Okay.
So we'll get ourselves all rigged up for those presentations as well.
Wind's blowing right in there.
Should be critical right in on this little point.
There we go.
Attaboy.
Yep. There we go, baby. Oh yeah, it's coming up. Watch this. Yes.
That's it. Attaboy.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. You jump right in here. Yeah. Oh, I love it.
I haven't seen that move before, Dan. That's a new one. You just yank them right in the air and you snap it like a
You gotta time it
shortstop.
perfectly. Right here.
What a goal,
Yes.
buddy.
Look at that. There we go.
Feeling the rock, Dan?
There we go.
Oh, he's got another one. Get a boy.
Yeah. Look at that. Yes. I love fishing, but I really love catching. Look at that. They're really light colored, huh? Look at that.
The dirty water. Isn't
Is that what it is? The dirty
Mhm.
water bass, huh? Man. Sweet.
We've gone into the seductive cranking mode, Dan.
Okay, what's that mean?
Real pause.
Okay.
A lot of pauses, and see if you can just get the fish to trigger to that. Bingo.
Got a buddy. He called it too, huh?
We got a buddy right here.
How does that feel, Mark?
There he is.
Nice fish.
Nice leaper.
Beautiful.
You gotta like that, Daniel.
I really like it. Nice work. Nice fish.
Boy, did he. This is what you call playing the harmonica. He's got that bait.
He sucked her down.
He
huh?
got all of it. So that usually is really a good sign. Nope, he's gonna leap. That he's got buddies.
Look at that.
When they get it like that, you gotta like it.
Oh, nice work.
That's a nice fish.
Good job.
He's a beaut. This may look like I'm performing surgery, Dan, but you know what? When you're throwing crankbaits, you got to think about the next move you're going to make, because you could be wearing this bait in your hand. I've done it numerous times, but you know, when a fish eats a crankbait and he takes it in as far as he's got to, take the time if he's hooked deep, because you can come in the backside of the gills. You know it. You've done it with walleyes with live bait rigs. That this fish is perfect. He ate this bait to the point where all there was line just coming out of the mouth. And now he got a beautiful fish to release and somebody else can catch him. Dang, you gotta love that. See you, little buddy. That's that simple.
Nice job, Mark. I think there's one right underneath that goose. Oh, you said we were taking turns.
Well, I tried. Go ahead and throw right in
Does that
behind me,
get some
buddy.
beef to it?
This one feels gooder.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah?
Oh,
It is a little better.
Yeah, he's.
Nice.
He hit extremely hard.
Huh, I thought you'd shake that one off, actually. When you said we were taking turns.
We did shake that off.
Yeah, you
Sorry
did.
about that, buddy.
Just a little A little late.
That could have been one of those Robin Hood. Owie, take one of those out.
Yeah, well.
There's a little hard spot right to the right of where my crankbait went, Dan.
But
come on up here.
I'm gonna go to the inside of you, okay?
Well, okay.
Just right there. Yeah, that one. Another one?
Well, I told you where to throw. I gave it to you. Well, no, I was
Fisher.
being a nice guy, Dan.
Can I reel it in?
No. It's a littler one, but it's out there on that little hard bottom.
You're right.
The interesting part, Dan, is though you can see on the locator, there's a lot of hard bottom here. It's kind of funny. That fish, I think, came from right about the same spot where you're getting those bumps when we were coming in here originally. So it just kind of tells you that a good spot is a good spot, but there's always just a sweeter spot on the spot, like we were talking about, with walleye fishing. Same thing. Chunky little 2-pound fish. That's a nice fish.
The We Love It Outdoors crew is exploring the endless bass fishing opportunities on the thousands of lakes scattered across western and northern Wisconsin. The amazing thing about this fish is even though there are so many places to find them, there are even more ways to catch them. It can get a little overwhelming, especially for a die-hard walleye guy like me.
You know, when it really comes down to selecting rods and reels and presentations, there's really about 5 real basic variations in lures and rods and reel combos that you really need to go out and actively catch fish where you live. First one up here is, we call this the jig worm. In the south they call it the shaky head. And variety of worms. An 1/8 ounce predominantly does most of what you want to do, whether you're fishing deep weed lines or you're throwing to sand gravel areas or you're throwing to rock piles. You go with a medium to medium heavy action rod. The reel, obviously you can decide if you like braid or you can go with monofilament. Both are perfect. 10-pound test equivalent in diameter or actual 10-pound test is really sufficient for throwing this basic system. Next on my list is a pitching bait of some form. And here I simply have a pegged tungsten Texas rig style sinker. And this is a flapping bug, a Trigger X flapping bug, and it could be your very favorite soft plastic, right from a Texas style worm or to anything that imitates crawfish in some form or another. The system here, medium heavy action, bait casting reel, preferably something with a higher speed retrieve, because when you pitch the bait or you make a long cast to a weed line or a specific target and you reel down and take up your slack line, as you lower that rod tip and you feel the fish pick the bait up and pop it, what you want to do immediately is reel up that slack line and hit them hard. That's why you go with a high-speed retrieve. A lure you hear a lot about for a while and then you don't hear too much about, but anywhere in the country you go, a spinnerbait is a very high percentage bait. I use 20-pound Suffolk Siege line for my spinnerbait. It's very abrasion resistant. This happens to be a medium action, about a 7-foot rod. And I like to go medium action for spinnerbaits because the parabolic load of a rod with the spinnerbait, when a fish hits a spinnerbait, he hits it so hard that you can allow the rod to actually be sucked into the fish a little bit before you hit it hard and bring it to the boat. Speed-wise on bait casters, 5 to 1 is really effective. High speed, you tend to fish too fast. Because I love to crank, I gotta say a crankbait. You can cover more water effectively on the outside edges. You can fish effectively over shallow weeds with variations of different styles of crankbaits. But cranking is absolutely, to me, the best way to cover a lot of water if you're looking to find weeds that fish may live in, or you're actually just trying to find fish to catch. I really throw a lot of 7 to 7.5 foot crankbait rods, medium to medium light action. And of course reels gets right down to 5 to 1 gear ratios. I still like the old Lewis for the slop action. There's more to talk about there later someday, but that's your basic system for cranking. Last but not least, hands down, a Carolina rig is a phenomenal tool for fishing deep weed line edges. Rod action, right back to medium heavy. It's very, very, very versatile. Speed wise, 5 to 1 is perfect here, because you don't need to catch up a lot of line because you're not vertically dropping and punching through cover. You're making long linear casts to the target, which is the end of a point or could be on the top of a rock bar, and you're just slowly crawling the bait across the bottom. So those are my favorite five picks for basically going anywhere in the country, and certainly right here in our backyard in the northern regions of the United States.
Come on, little Mo.
And it's
here we
clean.
go. There we go.
Attaboy.
Yep, little Mo, little Mo. Yeah, it's a little bit better. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I don't know how this drag is set up, but this is the nicest.
Oh, that's a good one, buddy.
Yeah.
Nice, cool.
Little Mo. We upgraded. We went to a little bigger bait. Little Mo, big bass or bigger bass. And Mark says that I'm going to graduate to Big Mo at some point today, but look at that.
Well done, Dan.
Thank you.
That's a dandy.
I like it. I like it a lot.
What's really cool is your first cast going with a little larger bait. There was no problem for the food offering.
Oh, there we go.
Got him.
Yeah, baby. Oh, yoo-hoo. Okay, come here, you little rascal.
Nice.
Look at that. It has been a good day, but you know what? I'm thinking it's gonna get better because that big hog is one cast away. There we go.
With all the fish we've caught today, and we haven't caught one or missed one.
That nice one?
It's a nice fish.
Yeah. Mark has got a beautiful fish.
It's a dog. It's a big giant fish. It's a big giant fish. Oh, he's hooked, I think, pretty good. Here we go.
Oh, what a great way to end the day.
Yeah, it is, Danny.
I mean, we caught a ton of fish today.
We did.
But to catch a big hog like that at the end. This northern, north central Minnesota, western Wisconsin, this northern region is full of these big boys.
It is, and we're lucky enough to have so many bodies of water to just go and fish. Just spend a little time paying attention to the basics and just go out and enjoy yourself. Nothing more than that.
And that's what I've done today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, buddy. I shake your hand, but I've got it in a mouth.
Knuckles.
All right.
Yes. Oh, we love it. Continue this adventure by visiting your local Mills Fleet Farm store or shop online at fleetfarm.com for all your sporting good needs and more. fleetfarm.com.